Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Today we are going to be talking about Ardana protocol. Ardana is a DeFi application that was, up until the recent halting, being built on top of Cardano. It's a project that I actually had high hopes for and that I've spoken about a number of times on this channel. I always envisioned Ardana as being similar to MakerDAO. I was involved with MakerDAO very early on from an investment point of view, and did very well off of it. And of course, MakerDAO are the main algorithmic Ethereum stablecoin with the DAI. I'm sure many of you heard of DAI. I had similar visions for Ardana becoming a similar thing, but on the Cardano ecosystem. You guys know that I'm a big fan of Cardano, and I think the future for not just ADA, but its ecosystem is a very, very bright one, rolled up with real world adoption. And Ardana, unfortunately, has halted, in my opinion, failed their project. And we're going to be unpacking that in this video. I've personally been affected by this in the sense that I've actually had to take a loss on it this morning. I got the news late. It came out last night. So by the time I'd actually cashed out my Ardana, the price is 80% down. So it's a loss for me. With any altcoin, small altcoin, it's never, ever going to take up a large part of my overall portfolio. You guys know that we're about 85% in cash at the moment, with a 15% allocation to crypto, just in case we're wrong about this bear market. You guys know that we've been out for a while now. But essentially, we did want to dip our toes back into Ardana briefly, putting a small chunk back in. And then, of course, it subsequently has halted. Some people are saying it's rugged. We'll talk about all that in this video, which, of course, has led me to have a bit of a drawdown on that capital. But only a small percent. Feel quite sorry for people with large percents in their portfolio. We even had the likes of John O'Connor, who is in charge of the kind of African branch of IOHK, coming out and saying, not thrilled to hear Ardana news today. Both myself and C Fund, which is the Cardano fund, the Cardano sort of investment arm, invested into this project. Still trying to find out what happened. Last I heard, DEX was meant to be out this month. So no, it's looking very much like since Three Arrows Capital, they've just not had the funding. Three Arrows Capital were investors. There was news about Three Arrows Capital also holding their treasury. Essentially, we know what happened with Three Arrows Capital. They're involved in the Luna fiasco. This, of course, has had cascading effects with who Three Arrows Capital were backing and investing in, and Ardana just happened to be one of those projects. So there's a little bit of bad luck here. I do, like I say, I did really like the idea of a MakerDAO, and I'm sure someone's going to do it successfully, by the way, guys, and we're going to be looking into that project. I did really like the idea of a MakerDAO in the form of Ardana being somewhere where you can go and take your ADA and you can get a stable coin, and they also have, I think stable coins are going to play a massive role in crypto, and I think we've not yet seen stable coins at their full effect, and we already have hundreds at this point $1 billion in stable coins. I think into the future, we're looking at trillions in stable coins. So it was a good idea, and I think a lot of bad luck. But we'll go on and read what happened. I'll give some thoughts. If you do have Ardana, guys, and this isn't financial advice, I've personally swapped mine this morning at a loss. From what these guys are saying, it's very much over for them. They are saying that the code is going to remain open source if anybody wants to pick up on from where they left off, which there may be a possibility of. But it's not a good sign when the team basically just says we're halting the product and we're not going to continue forward with it. Certainly in an environment as competitive as the crypto space, where you have all these other projects. We had Indigo Protocol. There's actually been contagion with Ardana. There's been lots of FUD or lots of other rumors. I thought the Ardana stuff was FUD. Turns out there's a lot more truth to it than I'd initially thought. But there's also been contagion. We saw Indigo Protocol have a bit of a dump. Some crossover there with Liquid Labs. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and read what they've officially said, and then we will break it down in a little bit more detail. I also want to reiterate the fact that this doesn't affect ADA as a whole. It's just a project building on top of it. These things happen. We've already seen it with the likes of Flicto and a number of other projects. So let's go ahead and read this, guys. Hello, Ardana community. Unfortunately, due to recent developments with regards to funding and project timeline uncertainty, we saw precursors of this with them actually announcing their USD, which was the main focus for me, actually at the end of next year, Whereas their DEX they were going to launch soon. We've already got DEXs. It's not why people invest in the project. So they had a lot of uproar about that. They then moved it. So USD was going to come out first. It just seemed like they were sort of buying time. One reason I actually didn't think these guys were going to rug was because they actually spoke at the Cardano summit. They had this individual, and I'm not going to go and go into it, who was the head of outreach, essentially speaking at the summit, really the day before they came out and announced that they weren't going to continue operations. They also had a number of things like a Halo token sale. So this is obviously all attempts at them trying to raise capital. Obviously, they haven't been able to raise the capital that they've needed. This is me speculating. And then they've had to come out and sort of face the music, if you will. So the Ardana project has come to a halt. It's essentially been terminated in terms of people continuing to work on it. That's what they're saying here with a halt. Our code will remain open source for builders to continue our work going forward as they wish. So I'm not sure who's going to pick this up. Development on Cardano has been difficult, with lots of funding going to tooling, infrastructure, and security. I do know that Plutus developers are very expensive. I know that firsthand. But these guys had a lot of, they were given quite a lot of funding. You know what I mean? It always seems outrageous, some of the costs that are associated with building these projects. What happened to building a project with people that are building it because they believe in it? This is why many of your early cryptocurrencies are such successes. Because Ethereum, for example, yes, there was always a lure of money there, but you had people that were really trying to pioneer the crypto space. Charles included, Gavin Wood, Vitalik Buterin, all really were trying to do something. They weren't just doing it for a paycheck necessarily. They've of course got that. They were doing it to build a good product. It doesn't seem like people are doing that nowadays in a lot of what they're building. So they're essentially saying and blaming it on Cardano here, passing a little bit of the blame off. This, alongside with the uncertainty around development completion, has led to the best course of action being to halt development of DUSD. The main reason you'd invest in these guys is for DUSD, by the way, guys. In my opinion, again, talking about this MakerDAO kind of concept, MakerDAO has been very successful. You've got the AADA Finance, one of the core developers there, also coming out and saying you could have announced this while you were on a panel at the Cardano Summit. This is what I mean. It seems too... They've also been transparent throughout this whole time and reassuring. So, it just goes to show that you really can't take people at face value. And there's so much going on. We've seen so many of these things take place. FTX, huge. I know people that lost 6-7 sums in FTX. So this is relatively small, but this is the nature of the beast in regards to crypto, unfortunately, guys. This is not the first time I bought a project that's failed. It's happened to me many, many times in the 5 years that I've been here. I'm sure it's going to happen many, many more times. This is why, going back to my point at the start of the video, you don't invest the majority of your capital into small coins. Yes, you might get it right, but you're going to probably get it wrong a lot more times than you're going to get it right. And you'll be out of capital by that point if you just invest in small altcoins. You want staple cryptos. You don't have to buy Bitcoin. I'm not even suggesting buying Bitcoin, which everybody thinks is a staple part of a crypto portfolio. I agree to a degree. It's definitely worth having some Bitcoin. But for me, where it's at is your altcoins, your smart contract altcoins, the blockchains that I see having real world use. I'm not saying Bitcoin doesn't have a real world use, but I'm saying if you look at smart contracts and where you can apply blockchain to an industry, it doesn't just start and stop at financial. It goes across the board, and this is where I think you're going to have companies that have their sort of own dApps, or they may choose Polkadot and have their own blockchain or whatever it is into the future. We're still yet to get that. So they go on to say, remaining funds and treasury balance, etc., will be held by Ardana Labs until another competent dev team in the community comes forward to continue work. We want to thank all of you for your support throughout the development. We will continue to be involved in the Cardano community. More updates surrounding the original, ongoing ISPO will continue soon. So, what do you say to that? To me, it very much seems like a failed project that's run out of funding and can no longer fund things. In this kind of environment, you're going to get stamped all over because I have heard from more than one project that it can be quite difficult building on top of Cardano. but don't use that as you knew what you were getting into before you started it. Okay, just move on from it. And it is a bit of a shock to me because these guys were very, very transparent. But as we're sat right now, you can see by the price, I think I first invested a little bit of cash well up here, and then bought some actually not that long ago, only to find out they've rugged. Again, not a large part of my overall capital, but still, you know, a nice holiday that's essentially gone. But it's the nature of the beast, guys. You live and you learn. One step back, two steps forward. Again, these guys were invested in by some pretty serious players. They'd really talked a big game up. You know, you can see Seafund here. Of course, they were also invested in. I don't think that's the Justin Sun. Yeah, Justin Sun, founder of Tron, had invested in them. So they obviously had some traction and something there. And I think the reason they're appealing was simply because of this kind of make a DAO concept, but on Cardano. So there we have it, guys. Again, this is not affecting anything really taking place within other than a little bit of contagion. We are seeing quite a bit of money flow out of some protocols. I'm not 100% sure why. This actually could be to do with the Ardana pools, potentially on AADA Finance. But largely, it's not had a massive amount of contagion. It is still early days yet. I don't think that we're going to see much contagion. I think this has happened. Only people really getting hurt are the Ardana holders, the people who had high hopes for the project. And it's just a case of moving on. So this was just an Ardana specific video, guys. These things happen. It is what it is. You move on from it. We will do another ADA video this week where we'll talk about ADA as a project. But I felt like it was important, as somebody who has previously spoken about this project, to come out and let everybody know what the news is and what we're doing as a result of it. All I've got for you in this video, guys, you enjoyed the content, like is always appreciated, so as a comment. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. See you later on.